we'll welcome Kate Paulin here, our Realtor with Heart. Kate has been in the group since September 2011, so we're coming up on our 5-year anniversary. Pretty excited. She's been the most successful realtor in the group. We've had several before, but Kate seems to, everybody seems to like Kate and give Kate lots of business from your realtor out there, which is fantastic. So I know, again, she spent a lot of time preparing this presentation, so take it away, Kate.
Right, thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
I've spent hours mulling over what I would talk about today. And what I decided to do is make this a little bit of an interactive meeting, presentation. I'm Kate Paulin, your Realtor with Heart. I love helping buyers find the perfect property and sellers to sell at profit. In 22 years of selling residential real estate, I've learned that the transaction can be really stressful. And as much as I prepare my clients for what's to come, it is somewhat of a surprise. And what's important to know is that I have your interests, your best interests at heart. I know that people's lives are really hanging in the balance. There's other industries out there where we're providing a service, but as a real estate agent, actually a realtor, which is what I'm going to touch on today, it's really important to understand and for you to know that I understand that it's really a hard thing for you to do and to go through. So in 22 years, I've just learned how to keep the transaction smooth and keep it running, and buyers want to buy and sellers want to sell. And so it's just that fine finesse of making it happen. Who here has used a realtor before? Who here has used a real estate agent before? Right, okay, so what I want to talk about today is the distinction between the two, and I think it's important to know. I am a realtor, and a realtor comes with a special trademark. It's a capital R, realtor, and it's very much different than just a real estate agent. A real estate agent and a realtor both go through the same state training and take the same state test. But what happens after that, and when the rubber really hits the road, is working with your customers. And so when someone chooses to become a realtor, it sets you apart as being someone who is being held to a higher level of ethics. Let me just read for you the difference between a realtor and an agent. State requirements vary, but in all states, you must take a minimum number of classes and pass a test to earn your license. So who here has a license to conduct their business? So quite a few of you. So you know what that means. You know, you've got to take the test, you have to keep up on your continuing education, and you get your license, and that's that. But what's different is, as a real estate agent, you can then become a realtor. And a real estate agent who is a member of the National Association of Realtors, which means that he or she must uphold the standards of the association and its code of ethics. So what's really neat is that as a realtor, I have a code of ethics that I have to abide by. What I wanted to do was ask, and if we could go around the room, and if you feel comfortable answering, go ahead. Like I said, I wanted this to be somewhat interactive. But starting with you, Gordon, could you give me a description of what your impression of a real estate agent / realtor would be? Just maybe one or two things.
The difference between the two, or what either one of them would do for me?
Either one of them. When you think of the word someone who buys and sells houses for someone, what would be your first two thoughts on that?
That if I were in the market for something or looking for something, I would need a professional to do that with me or for me, because that's not my realm of expertise. So I wouldn't, I'd have an idea of what I was looking for. To be able to go out into the world and find it is not where my strength is. So to hire somebody, have somebody become a part of that team effort to find that is absolutely necessary.
Great, that's a good one. How about you, Paul?
Well, it would be someone who would represent me as a buyer or a seller to the other party and be able to corral all of the information that's needed to get the transaction done. I actually worked as a receptionist in a real estate office for 9 years.
Oh, wow.
Part-time.
Okay.
So I kind of learned all this, and about all the paperwork, and then making sure that the agent makes sure that everything gets done with the transaction and make sure that everything is set up for closing. And it's just kind of the representative throughout, as well as being able to show property and answer questions and just be a full resource for a buyer or seller.
Great, that's good. So Paula hit on a big point, which is the preparation of contracts and filling them out. When I'm writing a contract, I'm acting as an attorney. And so there is a lot of responsibility on my part to make sure that I'm able to bring my clients from offer to close through using contracts. How about you, Rob?
I know that one thing that I would be looking for is someone who has a nice access to the market. I mean, because it's not always necessarily, I mean, you've got an idea of what you want to have in a home or whatever, but it doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be able to pick that out of the million houses that are out there, and that you're going to have more of that type of access to what's going to be on the market, what's going to be available, where you're going to be able to narrow it down, where, what region, what type of house, everything
Right.
like that.
That's a good point. So who here has ever used Zillow or Trulia or one of those real estate? Okay. It's kind of fun to go on there and see what things are going for, what's available in certain neighborhoods and all of that. And 35% of first-time home buyers that I work with have gone to those sites and have found the property that they're going to buy before I even meet with them. And I think that's great. They help me do my job. But what makes me different from Zillow and Trulia is that I fine-tune what it is that my clients really want, and I take them to the properties that fit their needs the best. And there's nothing like stepping into a home and saying, okay, this feels like home, versus just looking at photos on the internet. They're sometimes a little deceiving. So thanks, that was a good point. Derek?
I would think right now that having an idea of what the market looks like and the expediency that needs to take place, and contingency plan that can face the adversity of being 15 offers at the same time, and being creative, because I know right now you have to have you maybe have to think outside the box in finding a house, because the market is so competitive. So maybe having that aspect also, that might be bringing more than just an offer to the table.
Sure. So that's a good point. When I'm working with clients in this environment, which is lots of competition, not much inventory, when I'm putting together an offer for a client, I need to make sure that I've been very creative about how I've written the offer. I'll touch on a little bit about how, if the appraisal comes short of what we've come in on a price, how we're going to fix that right up front. I also talk about the type of inspection that we're going to do. So a seller who looks at different offers doesn't necessarily want to choose one where the buyer's going to come and look at everything there and nickel and dime the seller for, this ground fault interrupter is not working, or there's a stain on the carpet, that kind of thing. So the inspection is important, touching on that in an offer. Also on what to do if multiple offers come in, if you want to do an escalation clause or not. And so these little bits of experience that I've got have landed my clients having been the selected offer when multiple offers are coming in. So that's a good point. Okay, Steve?
I think there's a big difference between a professional like yourself and maybe somebody that might be a hustler or a hack who can basically kill a deal by being irresponsible on the other end. And I know one experience you and I had together was I was selling a house in a down market, and the buyer kept really chopping me down, and then came in with all these improvements needed at the 8th hour, and I was like, oh shit. And you said, don't worry, Steve, it's just a power move. I know we can just tell them no, and let it, and I was scared, and you said, no, it's okay, it's okay. And sure enough, the deal went through, and it went through nicely. So,
Thanks for that.
yeah.
Jim, you're on the mortgage side of it. What is your take?
Well, as a customer, a potential customer of yours, or to work with a realtor?
Just in general, yeah.
Okay,
What
well,
your thoughts
it
are.
might be more informative. I mean, when I am a customer, when I'm looking for someone who will respect my time, who will listen to me very carefully to understand what my requirements are, and then will use their time to get out and explore the market, maybe use Facebook to send me pictures like you did back in New York for Amanda, so that I am able to continue to do what I do for a living, and I know that I can rely on somebody to do what they do for a living very well to my benefit.
Right.
As a mortgage professional working with a realtor, I appreciate someone who has some level of understanding, and the higher the level of understanding of what it is that I do, the better, so that they're not causing too much time.
Just the full 10 minutes, not you in
Okay.
general.
So that they're not creating problems or insecurities on the part of the person who's buying the property. And I can't tell you how often I see that, because the realtor themselves are so insecure about it, that insecurity flows over and infects the borrower. And then, you know, so if it's conceived of as a team effort to get our customer into that house, and maybe even extend to the seller of the house, so that they're made to feel like, and their realtor is made to feel like, that it really is a team effort, everybody's trying to get their thing done, then that works much more successfully.
Good point. In order to get all of these things done in the transaction, I have to make sure that I have in my pocket professionals that I can rely on, that I trust, that get the work done. In real estate, timing is of the essence, which means all of our contracts are due on deadlines. And it's really important to maintain those deadlines. A, it keeps everyone feeling a little more secure about the transaction, and B, it follows what everyone has set out to do in the beginning. So it's really important that we have these professionals that we can trust to rely on to get that done. In closing, so sorry I didn't get around to everybody, but 10 minutes went faster than I thought. What I wanted to do was just read you one real quick. This is the preamble to the Code of Ethics, and as a pledge to being a realtor, this is what I am upheld to. So I just wanted to read this to you really quick. Under all the land, upon its wise utilization and widely allocated ownership, depend the survival and growth of free institutions and of our civilization.